Hello everyone. Hello students. So sir gi ngasi ki third class ta asi sir gi yum do sing chaw duna ne. Ai gano sing do kumala ino zai studio class ta na sir gi ko. Ai ngarang su class to miss tawi haidi mai lak ta mai lak ta tar di internet kana ya te sidi. Lighting gi dan camera gi electric chang bani na ya te. But anyway, I will be taking my third class today. Today's class will be very important. Yam important way ni ko ngasi di. Ano kitang thawai chang na tars. So shall we start? Okay, Horace. Ngasi sir natakadoy last time in my previous class, that is in second suba lecture da, I was talking about structure of anther na inaramdam individuals. Anther si transverse section kapakanda we are able to see two things. Anther gi wall gi part ama pollen chamber gi part ui kai. Natra anther gi wall si layer makal mari na sare epidermis, endothelium, middle layer, tapetum inagre. Natra also I talk about the functions of the different layers of the anther wall inagre. ꯑꯗꯨꯒꯤ ꯃꯇꯨꯡꯗ pollen chamberꯁꯤ ꯌꯪ ꯑꯣꯏꯔꯤꯉꯩ ꯃꯇꯝꯗꯗꯤ sporogenous cells ꯅ fill ꯇꯧꯔꯝꯃꯤ ꯍꯥꯏꯈꯤꯕꯅꯤ ꯑꯗꯨꯒꯤ ꯃꯇꯨꯡꯗ I also talk a bit about microsporogenesis ꯁꯨ ꯈꯔ ꯇꯥꯈ꯭ꯔꯦꯕ ꯌꯥꯔꯦꯀꯣ ngasi sir I'll start from the microsporogenesis then we'll complete the male part ngasi male ki part loishandoni so that from the next class onward I will start picking up uh, female reproductive system of angiosperm tak hubayana Although, sir, na ito say, sir, the 15 of June the labor class to can postpone to record. That's why I'm uploading the videos. So that even flood na affected wherever sa mayama families mayam siya always na karigumba class miss way na ba hai tar. Aduna ne sir na recorded videos when I YouTube ta thakali se ko. Na ha na YouTube ta sir subscribe to driba yaw tar so ay ano no updates kay khang na subscribe to salo because I will be uploading more videos. Magala ka dabi am lady. Horace ko. So I will start my explanation with kaide hugatare ngasi. So sir na ngasi talk to shi I will start from microsporogenesis tagi amuktang na takige. Microsporogenesis. Ngasi de ako'y class ta kulorga ako'y matam tardi will be reading the NCRT and NCRT popular kanda will also discuss about some what to say some questions cursory na dori. Yarusuko. So let's see what is microsporogenesis. Nahan sir natakiva enter si lob kya na sai hagiba enter is angiospermic enter si lob ani yawe hagib. Enter is two lob except China rose natana atop in all the angiosperms kuding magta enter si lob ani longi haina sir na hagib. I hope you remember. Lob ani long ba enter sin si kay kawe haina tamge two lob enter arko dai tekas enter kawi haina. Koi wari sana grabane. Sanagiko, lob amongda pollen yawa kaw ani ni yawe haigibani, kanda pollen chamber ani ama, asong saita pollen chamber ani ama. Pollen chamber yawam se amuk katang kuthara lay, moiduna theka kawe haigibne. Adi pollen chamber, lob amda pollen chamber ani ni yawam na theka ani ni yawam da. Theka du dane bong chamber sing na feet rooms. Theka di cavity do. How yawam da kuthara lay band. Aduna, enter having two lob, with is not having two theka si, by thekas enter kawi, hina wari sana kabada. Last time, ako'y shanakibba kanda siday shibok sina kay kawen tamgiba. Siday shibok si enter gi wall kawe haina tamgiba ni wall si layer kalmarina sakhi heba manayna re. I am not going to repeat it. Amu halaroy ba dugi part tumadi. Pollen chamber haidi. Mutum maming sina takjare pollen yawa khaw haibane. Pollen grains yawa khaw ni pollen chamber. Aduday da pollen grains ke to ming di microspore ko wanina pollen chamber sisu microsporangium su ko wane. Nareko, hojik sir na haigadoy pollen chamberse matam amada pollen grains yawramdri anthers na young moiringai matamda laisina pomingai matamdadi there were no pollen grains there were no microspores yawramdev Mareko, pollen grains ki muhutta pollen grains form tawangamba cells pollen grains is spora are pollen grains spores yes they are microspores and spore form tawangamba cells na fill tower matam amada Mareko, pollen chambers se kaina fill tower meba pollen chambers were once filled with spore-forming cells. Spore-form tobang amba cells sing se kay ba? We call it sporogenous cells kawi hena hayi. Ibig sabihin sir na uli ba cells sing se kay tare? Yellow matu se they are representing sporogenous cells. Hena ko. What is the technical meaning of sporogenous cells? Simply refers to spore-forming cells. For form to bang amba cells sing se kay ba? Sporogenous cells ko. Likewise, akwai human reproduction dusta makini gamete form to ngamba cells na germ cells or germinal epithelium kawi. We'll come to that part. Yarni ko kona tap na laksi. Later on, horen anther ne tapna mature oire. Common Malaysia tapna smito kore. As the anther grows mature, anther sina mature oira abama tamna. Sporogena cell, putting makse. I'm using the term all. All the sporogena cell is and every sporogena cell, putting makse. They start behaving as pollen mother cell. Pollen pok pangamba mama mo oli haina. Pollen di kay kaya microspore kodra. So instead of using pollen mother cell, I can also use microspore mother cell ulit. Every sporogenous cell kuding magse kay oleba, they behave as microspore mother cell ulit. So, yung waiting ay na sporogenous cells koramba, hozikti kay koraniba, hozikti microspore mother cell, MMC, heniko. Reko, twice N. Microspore mother cell habeniko. May bang memsobi sanu hyphenatic. It simply refers to microspore mother cell. Okay. Okay, so let's see what happens to the microspore mother cells who kay sa thaging sa. Manipuri tam tang halaki ke sir tau ko. Pollen chamber se matam amadadi pollen grains yawram dem. Pollen grains ki muhutta pollen grains pu form to bangamba sporogenous cells me am yawle ram. Later on, anthracis tapna mature oirakpa matamda sporogenous cell khuding maksa microspore mother cell oina behave tawri haine. Arniko. So that is microspore mother cells microspore khuding maksa meiosis athari. So I'm going to take one microspore mother cell out. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to take one out here. I'm going to put it here. Let's suppose this is one microspore mother cell. Amani in a lower cell. Yarni ko, twice any mo is diploid. Angiosperm ki part kudima twice and ngakani ko. All parts of the angiosperms are sporophytic. Sporophytic in the sense that diploid. Yarni ko, except meiosis toraga form toba product natana, the rest of the parts are kaineva twice any aduma kamjan bitare. Yarni ko, hozik asigi da yauriba microspore mother cell puringmakni ko. Kadaina amuk khaktang da base to utke to whatever. So I'm going to take one microspore mother cell out. Hariba microspore mother cell amamam se. Hey sathabaureba, they start undergoing meiosis. Meiosis sathabaure. Microspore mother cell amana meiosis sathar panamaram oirakanda, they give rise to four daughter cells. Cell mari form tore. One, two, three, four. Cell mari form tore. Microspore mother cell adi microspore form tobang ang mama haiba natra. Adi mana form tore iba macha sidi kay ko niya. Microspores ko tama. The form tore iba daughter cell mari sina kay ko iba. They are representing microspores. So ay four hay ko. So form tore iba microspore mari se form to wad ngai ring ay dadi they remain united. Ngani ko glue na napnara thumam me mo they are held together by a glue. Yani ko, glue na kelos ko ba carbohydrate na saba glue na napnara lerami. So I'm going to represent here the orange machuse kay na ba kelos ko. Kelos na napnara thamame. Yani ko, moy mari se napnara leringay matamdadi we call it microspore. Haide ba ko? We call it kay ko ba microspore tetrat to. Tetrat adi mari. Muna lay minaring ay dadi kay ko ba microspore tetrad na ko or pollen tetrad so hinay. So let me put another name. It is also called pollen tetrad. Hay na kawi. Habasima ako'y kawaragumsi. Yare ko. Pollen tetrad. Pollen tetrad. Yari yung sibog ta asing badi sumayna layte ko. Asing badi sumayno ay nalayba ay nanuida lay na bani ko na microspore ama, microspore ani, microspore hum mari su na maningga. Sige arrangement se kay kawi chemistry that tetrahedral arrangement hydra. One of the four pollen grains which are the end result of meiosis are arranged in kay tetrahedral arrangement dalayim. Kay arrangement dalayba tetrahedral arrangement dalayani. Sima kung Later on, high-riba microspore tetrasen. Mele side-effect enzymes sila ectorerim. They are affected one by Keles enzyme and dehydration sa tharim. Maram sir natakip the Keles enzyme kay nasungi. Keles enzyme is also secreted by tapetum nasungi me. Adugi Keles enzyme na ecto budo na maram orkan the kelosis atokrim. Keles enzyme degrades the kelos, separating the individual microspore. ꯃꯥꯏꯀ꯭ꯔꯣꯁꯄꯣꯔꯗꯣ ꯍꯧꯖꯤꯛ ꯑꯃꯃꯝ ꯆꯤꯡꯊꯣꯛꯅꯔꯛꯑꯦ ꯀꯦꯂꯣꯁꯇꯣ ꯆꯥꯊꯣꯛꯈ꯭ꯔꯕꯅꯤꯅ ꯍꯧꯖꯤꯛ ꯑꯃꯃꯝꯁꯦ ꯀꯩ ꯀꯧꯕ ꯌꯥꯔꯦ? Individual structures can now be called as pollen grain or microspore. So I better use the term for microspores. Microspore ꯃꯔꯤ form ꯇꯧꯔꯛꯑꯦ. ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯅ ꯀꯩ ꯈꯪꯉꯤ? Meiosis ꯆꯠꯊ ꯇꯥꯔꯒꯗꯤ ꯄꯦꯔꯦꯟꯠꯇꯨꯗ ꯌꯥꯎꯔꯝꯕ ꯀ꯭ꯔꯣꯃꯣꯖꯣꯝ ꯅꯝꯕꯔꯗꯨꯗꯒꯤ the daughters are having half the number of chromosomes ꯌꯥꯎꯏ. ꯑꯗꯨꯅ meiosis reduction division ꯁꯨ ꯀꯧꯏ ꯍꯥꯏꯈꯤꯕ. ꯑꯗꯨꯅ the microspore will be having n number of chromosome ꯌꯥꯎꯔꯅꯤ. haploid ꯑꯣꯏꯔꯅꯤ. ꯌꯥꯔꯦꯀꯣ? This process by which microspore mother cell giving rise to four microspores after undergoing meiosis is called microsporogenesis 하는 거예요. ꯌꯥꯔꯦꯀꯣ? ꯁꯤꯒꯤ processꯁꯦ ꯀꯩ ꯀꯧꯋꯦꯕ? We call it microsporogenesis 하는 거예요. यारबा मैम सिबोका. So this is how pollen grains are formed. कनादगी microspore mother cell amana meiosis ama तौरगा one meiosis giving rise to four microspore form तौई ना हंसर के last class लो ताकि अदुरी सिदा याइसे microspore mother cell ngakani ne ade amamam na mari pirak tari yawi मैम सिदा form तौरी. After a while there will be thousands of pollen grains inside a pollen chamber. Pollen chamber amanunga hundreds to thousands of pollen grains yaurani haina haido. यारेको ꯅꯅ ꯁꯤꯗ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯅ ꯈꯪꯗꯣꯏꯁꯦ ꯉꯔꯥꯡꯒꯤ ꯂꯥꯁ ꯀꯟꯀ꯭ꯂꯨꯖꯟꯗ ꯃꯥꯏꯀ꯭ꯔꯣꯁꯄꯣꯔ ꯃꯥꯗꯔ ꯁꯦꯜ ꯑꯃꯅ ꯃꯤꯌꯣꯁꯤꯁ ꯑꯃꯨꯛ ꯆꯠꯊꯕꯗ ꯃꯥꯏꯀ꯭ꯔꯣꯁꯄꯣꯔ ꯃꯔꯤ ꯍꯥꯏꯗꯤ ꯄꯣꯂꯟ ꯒ꯭ꯔꯦꯟꯁ ꯃꯔꯤ ꯐꯣꯔꯝ ꯇꯧꯋꯦꯕ. ꯑꯗꯨꯗꯤ ꯄꯣꯂꯟ ꯒ꯭ꯔꯦꯟꯁ ꯆꯥꯝꯃ ꯐꯣꯔꯝ ꯇꯧꯒꯦꯗꯤ ꯃꯔꯤ ꯐꯣꯔꯝ ꯇꯧꯕꯗ ꯃꯤꯌꯣꯁꯤꯁ ꯑꯃ one meiosis give rise to four pollen grains. ꯑꯗꯨ ꯇꯥꯔꯗꯤ ꯆꯥꯝꯃ ꯐꯣꯔꯝ ꯇꯧꯒꯦꯗꯤ will require 25 meiosis ꯐꯣꯔꯝ ꯇꯧꯔꯅꯤ. So in order to form X number of pollen grains, the number of meiosis required will be X divided by 4 na P 하이겠네. Ay sibo yarage. So do we have the pollen grains now? Yes, where is the pollen grains later? Hozik pollen grains form torobanina. Let's know the structure of a pollen grain. Pollen grains samagi structure yang basit. Yareko. Sir, pollen grains ki structure yang dringaida microsporogenesis to. Aduki definition se kamaini ibatai. Microsporogenesis refers to formation of what? Formation of four haploid microspores. Microspore mari form tawne. Or pollen grains, harshe. Or haploid microspore or pollen grains. Kadaidagi from microspore mother cell. Twice and kaidauraga after undergoing meiosis. Yareko microspore mother cell amana meiosis tatharakanda microspore mari form tawagi thongsi we call it microsporogenesis. So this is how microspores or pollen grains are formed. ꯑꯗꯨꯗꯤ ꯍꯧꯖꯤꯛ ꯐꯣꯔꯝ ꯇꯧꯗ ꯉꯥꯏꯔꯤꯕ pollen grains ꯀꯥꯏꯗ ꯂꯩꯔꯤ? Pollen chamber ꯃꯅꯨꯡꯗ ꯌꯥꯎꯔꯤ. Now, pollen chambers are filled with pollen grains. Fill down. ꯌꯥꯔꯕ? Shall we continue? Can I continue? Okay, very good. ꯌꯦꯡꯉꯣ, sir, next ꯌꯦꯡꯁꯤꯀꯣ. ꯍꯧꯖꯤꯛ pollen grains ꯑꯃꯒꯤ structure form ꯇꯧꯕ ꯂꯣꯏꯔꯕꯅꯤꯅ pollen grains ꯑꯃꯒꯤ structure ꯀꯝꯗꯧꯋꯤ ꯌꯦꯡꯁꯤ. So let me write. The next headline will be structure of a pollen grain. Structure of a pollen grain. Pollen grain amagi structure si kamdauba jatno amuktang yengminasi sir. Yareko? Now, hojik sir na haidwese pollen grain se cell kya na sabisra. Pollen grain si cell amana meiosis atharaga form tokpa daughter cell mari duni ne pollen grain size. Adi cell ni daughter cell ne. So pollen grain is a cell. Adi cell amani na so it's a single cell structure name. At the beginning, hojik pollen grains kai de yauri? Pollen grains singsi hojik pollen chamber manung de yauri. Form tobada ngairiba microsporogenesis toraga form toba loibada ngairiba pollen grain singse. At the beginning, in the early stage, pollen grain is a single cell structure name. Cell amakna sab structure or name. So this is a pollen grain. Cell amana satari ka yawmani. Cell ama yawdi nucleus yaw tamni, cytoplasm to yawbum po do yaw. Plasma membrane, those minor. So at the beginning, pollen grain se cell kya na sab structure oirameba. Pollen grain is a single cell structure oirameba. Yani ko, focusing from kitang lay mali sir CMG ko. Just a second. Okay, never mind. Pollen grain si cell amana. Adi, I know exactly say pollen grain is a single cell structure name. Cell amana sab structure name. And it is covered by covering amna yomsaleba. NCRT that is sige covering maming sidi pandabaniko, but for understanding purpose, I will be using the term. Pollen grains will cover toriba, covering sige maming kay kogam that we call it sporoderm. Haniko. Pollen grains is spora, mani, sporo kupsali the skin do, sporoderm. Haniko. I hope you got it. I kyantay haina loge ko. I hope you understand what I'm teaching. Okay. Pollen grains bu kupsaliba covering set. The covering of the pollen grains are called what? Sporoderm. Sporoderm set. Layer ani thok na difference set to. The outer sporoderm is very thick. Mapantang the sporoderm siyang type. The outer sporoderm is thick, while the inner sporoderm is very thin. Ay seret tok sandi ko. Tos maina. Mapantang ba sporoderm say it's a bit thicker comparing with the inner. Nanungga ying mapantang. Mapantang ba atha sporoderm set. We call it exine. So let me write here. The outer sporoderm is very, very thick, and we call it exine. So this part is representing exine. While ay machuma use toge ko manunggi white color se. The kusaliba manunggi layer se. The inner layer is very thin, and we call it intine. So I'll be using purple color here, and this one is representing intine. Can you get it? The exine and intine together form the wall of the the wall of the pollen grains, called as sporoderm. Form the Yarnika. There are reason. Now, sida point ng claim. Jose, pollen grains se covering kya na kupsalameva. Pollen grain is covered by two covering, outer covering and inner covering. Outer sine amna thick oily, inner sine amna thin oil. 열애과 한보다 강도시 outer exines continuous oidib mafam khudimakta yaubra di yaudib exine are absent at certain reasons jaga khara exine absent oil exine yaudaba mapase we call it jumpor I will be giving you the function of jumpor in a bit I see in few seconds you will understand exine yaudaba jaga se kaina do exine covers the pollen grains everywhere? No. There are reasons on the pollen grains where exine are absent. The reason where exine are absent are called jangpo. You will understand what is the function. Nareko. Swai matang sida sir ihuwa yabase. Exine I will be putting two parts here. Exine is very very thin. And taibaman it's very thick. And one more point, it is discontinuous. Continuously covered to dip. Mapamapakra na lebamadi. ꯑꯗꯨꯅ ꯑꯦꯛꯁꯥꯏꯟꯗꯤ discontinuous ꯑꯣꯏ ꯍꯥꯏꯕ ꯄꯣꯏꯟꯠꯁꯤꯃ ꯇꯪꯒ ꯑꯟꯗꯔꯁꯇꯦꯟ ꯇꯧꯃꯤꯟꯅꯔꯁꯤ ꯌꯥꯔꯦꯀꯣ another point exine amaga haphoba yabase exine is the one that is made up of sporopollenin ngarang haigibdo pollen grains are covered by the most resistant organic compound ever known on earth haigibdo high strong acid alkali high temperature low temperature enzymes na degrade tawba ngamdaba molecule amakakna surround tawi haigib sporopollenin adugi sporopollenin do kadai waidi yawbo eleme exine so exine se kaina saiba sorry, exine is made up of sporopollenin. That's right, sporopollenin. That's why pollen grains has got high chances of fossil formation lay. Hanangarang tamgrab. Kare ko. Adumain to the intine sisu point ani khaktang isalam sir. We have 2 points to be noted in intine. Tahan ba point that intine is very thin. ꯌꯥꯔꯦꯀꯣ comparatively ꯀꯅꯥꯒ ꯌꯦꯡꯅꯕ ꯃꯇꯝꯗ exine ꯒ ꯌꯦꯡꯅꯕ ꯃꯇꯝꯗ intine ꯁꯤꯗꯤ ꯌꯥꯝꯅ thin ꯑꯣꯏꯕ layerꯅꯦ another point it is continuous ꯃꯥꯗꯤ ꯃꯇꯦꯛ ꯃꯇꯦꯛ ꯇꯠꯇꯦ entire pollen grains ꯁꯨ cover ꯇꯧꯋꯦ continuous ꯑꯣꯏ ꯌꯥꯔꯦꯀꯣ while this intine ꯁꯦ it is made of ꯃꯥꯗꯤ ꯀꯩꯅ ꯁꯥꯏ it is made of cellulose and pectin normal cell wall amada yawham thopa components haidi cellulose ka pectin bari made up of cellulose and pectin so sigi point ani se khang tai aina yiba pollen grain se kai pollen grain no form tawada ngai riba pollen chamber manungda yawriba wa form tawada ngai riba single cell oiringai gi pollen grains to so I'm going to represent here next utke ko sir na yiba pollen grain se karam makhal gi pollen eba single cell pollen cell amana sabada ngai riba pollen grains magi masakni haidore Yareko. Now, I saw the amtang ihugeba. Hojik sir na yi se karineba. I'm drawing the structure of pollen. Pollen grain amagi structure ne. ay swayda, sir, point ang ige. Pollen grains se NCRT das meine line and ear. Pollen grains represent the male gametophyte. And ay adugi line dum tang ituki ko sir. Pollen grains, what do pollen grains represent? Pollen grains represents male gametophyte. Ngasidagi kauragumsi hana lana khanba satra so yaramni ko. ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯅ ꯑꯉꯥꯡ ꯑꯣꯏꯔꯤꯉꯩꯗ ꯈꯪꯗꯣꯏꯁꯦ pollen grainsꯅ male gamete ꯃꯥꯅ ꯄꯥꯏꯔꯛꯑꯀꯥꯟꯗ female ꯗ ꯇꯥꯔꯀꯥꯟꯗ fertilization ꯊꯣꯛꯇꯣꯏꯅꯤ ꯀꯥꯏꯅ ꯈꯜꯂꯝꯃꯦꯕ no pollen grains ꯁꯦ male gamete ꯅꯠꯇꯦꯀꯣ pollen grains है male gamete पुथोक्पा ngamba structure ne itself is not the male gamete. Pollen grains itself is not male gamete, okay? It is the structure that is capable of producing male gamete. Mangondagi male gamete puthokto ne. Male gamete puthokpa ngamba hairasu yai, male gamete yauba structure hairasu yai. Male gamete puthokpa ngamba structure se sineba koina male gametophyte hina koris. Female gametophyte haragana female gamete puthokpa ngamba female gamete yauba structure sina female gametophyte ko. Adi pollen grain se male gametophyte hena kauriba maram kaigina. Why is pollen grains considered as the male gametophyte? Because it is the pollen grains that is capable of producing male gamete. Mongondagi male gamete puthoroktoine. Adunane mase male gametophyte hena kauris. Yaradra? Yareko. Adudi pollen grains madagi male gamete kamaina puthorokke. In other words, development of male gametophyte kamaina puthorokke yengse. Shall we proceed? Yaradro? Okay, let's proceed. Yengsiko Serga. So, let me draw once again the pollen grains so mutanga yeksi selamana sabado nucleus sama yaudoni sumaina yaudoi natra mabu kupsaliba outer thick covering duna kai koeba exine kawi haina hujikta taminagre and inner thin part duna intine kawi haigre exine duna sporopollenin sai haibasu khangminagre intine duna cellulose ka pectin gana sai haibasu khangre amtanga thage ko sarni ise single cell pollen ne cell amana sabada ngairiba pollen grains haige haibra microspore haige haibra sarna tak toiba topic sina kai sarna tak toiba topic sina development of male gametophyte development of male gametophyte pollen grains madagi male gametophyte kamaina oirake hojikta sarna takibado male gametophyte adi kayaba male gamete yauba structure se male gametophyte kawedo adi pollen grains ki manungda male gamete kamaina yaurake se hojik si pollen grains se kaida yawino kanamta haibiro sigi pollen grains se kaida yawrino sigi pollen grains se hojik pollen chamber da yawri thousands of them are now inside the pollen chambers yawrine ba pollen grains se single cell pollen grains na pollen chamber manungda yauna kaidawre they start undergoing one round of mitosis mitosis na matawre handak mukti mitosis haibani ko meiosis haibana te ko mitosis ta thabawre Yoreko. Cell amana mitosis tatharadi cell kya form tawi haina tamai cell ani form tawre. Tawbatabu sida chathariba mitosis normal mitosis de unequal division ne. Unequal division se NCRT dane sumaini yawbane buko. I horen like doing mina cell. Horen division gi matamda cell division gi matamda spindle fiber form toidana. Spindle fiber se asymmetrical spindle fiber form tawi hain. Ai sida thasaloge ko. Asymmetrical ꯁꯥꯡꯕ ꯃꯥꯟꯅꯗꯕ ꯍꯥꯏꯇꯥꯔꯦ asymmetrical spindle fiber ꯑꯅꯝꯕꯅ ꯑꯉꯥꯡꯈꯩ ꯂꯣꯏꯅꯃꯛ ꯀꯥꯟꯊꯣꯛꯑꯝꯗꯣꯏꯅꯤ ꯁꯤ ꯉꯁꯤꯗꯒꯤ ꯀꯥꯜꯂꯒꯨꯝꯁꯤꯀꯣ ꯀꯔꯤꯒꯤꯗꯃꯛꯇ ꯍꯣꯔꯦꯟ single cell pollen grains mitosis ꯇꯧ ꯇꯥꯔꯗꯤ cell ꯀꯌꯥ form ꯇꯧꯔꯅꯤꯕ it give rise to two daughter cell ꯇꯧꯕꯇꯕꯨ form ꯇꯧꯔꯤꯕ daughter cellꯁꯦ size ꯆꯥꯎꯕ ꯃꯥꯟꯅꯗꯦ ꯑꯄꯤꯛꯄ cell ꯑꯃꯒ ꯑꯆꯧꯕ cell ꯑꯃꯒ form ꯇꯧꯔꯛꯏ ꯍꯥꯏꯔꯛꯇꯣꯏꯅꯦꯕ ꯁꯔꯅ ꯍꯥꯏꯔꯛꯇꯣꯏꯁꯦ ꯌꯥꯔꯅꯤꯀꯣ they are having common exine and common intine cover ꯇꯧꯔꯤ ꯁꯨꯃꯥꯏꯅ ꯍꯧꯖꯤꯛ mitosis ꯇꯧꯔꯛꯄꯗꯒꯤ cell ꯀꯌꯥ form ꯇꯧꯔꯛꯑꯦꯕ mitosis ꯇꯧꯔꯛꯄꯗꯒꯤ cell ꯑꯅꯤ form ꯇꯧꯔꯛꯑꯦꯕ cell ꯑꯅꯤꯁꯦ ꯆꯥꯎꯕ ꯃꯥꯟꯅꯗ꯭ꯔꯤꯁꯦ ꯀꯩꯒꯤꯅꯦꯕ because of during the time of cell form ꯇꯧꯔꯛꯏꯕ spindle fiber ꯑꯅꯤꯗꯣ asymmetrical ꯑꯣꯏꯕꯩꯅꯤ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯁꯤꯃ ꯀꯥꯎꯔꯒꯨꯝꯁꯦ ꯁꯤꯁꯦ NCERT ꯗ word ꯑꯣꯏꯅꯗꯤ ꯏꯗꯦꯕ ꯃꯅꯤꯡꯒꯤ diagramꯗ ꯏꯌꯦꯕ why the two cells are unequal in size because of asymmetrical spindle fiber formation during the time of mitosis. ꯌꯥꯔꯦꯀꯣ ꯍꯧꯖꯤꯛ cell kya form ꯇꯧꯔꯛꯑꯦꯕ cell ꯑꯅꯤ form ꯇꯧꯔꯛꯑꯦ ꯑꯆꯧꯕ cell ꯑꯃꯒ ꯑꯄꯤꯛꯄ cell ꯑꯃꯒ ꯑꯆꯧꯕ cell ꯁꯤꯒꯤ ꯃꯃꯤꯡ vegetative cell ꯍꯣꯏ vegetative cell kawi, or also called tube cell hainasu khangnei. I will let you know kaidobgi tube cell kaurino haise sir ngakang layer khangalakigeba ko. Aduga apikpa cell se the smaller cell is called the generative cell haina kawi. ꯑꯩꯁꯦ ꯁꯥꯔꯁꯦ ꯀꯩꯅꯣ ꯇꯧꯒꯦ ꯇꯧꯕꯅꯦꯀꯣ ꯑꯃꯨꯛ I will be using ꯌꯥꯔꯤꯈꯩꯗꯤ ꯏꯪꯂꯤꯁ ꯌꯨꯁ ꯇꯧꯔꯒ ꯑꯣꯏꯅ ꯇꯥꯛꯁꯤꯔꯥꯅ ꯇꯧꯕꯅꯦ ꯅꯣꯏ ꯑꯃꯨꯛ ꯈꯪꯈꯤꯔꯣꯏꯗ꯭ꯔꯥ ꯍꯥꯏꯅ ꯑꯃꯨꯛꯁꯨ ꯃꯅꯤꯄꯨꯔꯤꯁꯨ ꯈꯔ ꯌꯥꯜꯂꯛꯑꯦꯀꯣ ꯍꯥꯏꯗꯤ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯒꯤ ꯑꯣꯗꯤꯌꯟꯁꯁꯦ ꯚ꯭ꯌꯨꯋꯔꯁꯦ ꯌꯥꯝꯅꯕ ꯅꯣꯠ ꯑꯣꯟꯂꯤ ꯏꯟ ꯃꯅꯤꯄꯨꯔ ꯈꯛꯇ ꯅꯠꯇꯕ ꯊ꯭ꯔꯨ ꯑꯥꯎꯠ ꯏꯟꯗꯤꯌꯥ ꯌꯦꯡꯕ ꯌꯥꯅꯕ ꯑꯩ ꯌꯥꯔꯤꯈꯩꯗꯤ ꯏꯪꯂꯤꯁ ꯌꯨꯁ ꯇꯧꯁꯤꯔꯥꯅ ꯇꯧꯕꯅꯤ ꯑꯗꯨꯕꯨ ꯑꯣꯀꯦ I will be using bilingual okay ꯃꯅꯤꯄꯨꯔꯤꯁꯨ ꯑꯗꯨꯝ ꯌꯨꯁ ꯇꯧꯔꯛꯀꯦ ꯏꯪꯂꯤꯁꯁꯨ ꯑꯗꯨꯝ bilingual ꯑꯣꯏꯁꯦꯕ so that every parts of the country ꯗꯨꯅ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯒꯤ ꯁꯔꯒꯤ ꯚꯤꯗꯤꯑꯣꯁꯦ ꯌꯨꯁ ꯇꯧꯕ ꯌꯥꯅ anyway look here vegetative cell ꯑꯆꯧꯕ ꯁꯦꯜꯁꯦ ꯀꯩ ꯀꯧꯋꯦꯕ vegetative cell ꯑꯄꯤꯛꯄ ꯁꯦꯜꯁꯦ ꯀꯩ ꯀꯧꯋꯦꯕ generative cell ꯀꯧꯋꯦꯕ ꯑꯃꯇꯪꯒ explain ꯇꯧꯔꯝꯈꯤꯒꯦꯀꯣ ꯍꯧꯖꯤꯛ ꯑꯃꯨꯛꯇꯪꯒ ꯌꯦꯛꯊꯣꯛꯈꯤꯒꯦ ꯁꯤ ꯁꯦꯜꯗꯨꯅꯤ ꯑꯆꯧꯕ ꯁꯦꯜꯁꯦ ꯀꯩ ꯀꯧꯋꯦꯕ vegetative cell ꯑꯄꯤꯛꯄ generative cellꯁꯦ ꯃꯥꯒꯤ ꯋꯥꯜꯁꯦ separate ꯇꯧꯔꯛꯑꯦꯕ ꯑꯗꯨꯒ ꯑꯆꯧꯕ ꯁꯦꯜꯗꯨ ꯀꯩ ꯑꯆꯧꯕ ꯁꯦꯜ vegetative ꯁꯦꯜꯗꯨꯒꯤ cytoplasmꯗꯨꯗ ꯇꯥꯎꯔ ꯂꯩꯔꯛꯑꯦ ꯍꯥꯏꯕ on the cytoplasm of the vegetative cell the generative cell ꯗꯣ float ꯇꯧꯔ ꯂꯩꯈꯤꯗꯣꯏꯅꯦ ꯁꯤꯅ ꯑꯆꯧꯕꯁꯤꯅ ꯀꯩ vegetative cell vegetative cell ꯁꯤꯒꯤ nucleus ꯁꯦ irregular ꯑꯣꯏ ꯁꯦꯞꯁꯦ ꯀꯩꯅꯣ ꯇꯧꯍꯟꯗꯦ ꯁꯦꯞꯁꯦ definite ꯁꯦꯞ ꯂꯩꯇꯦꯕ nucleus ꯅꯤꯀꯣ ꯁꯦ ꯀꯅꯥꯒꯤ nucleus ꯑꯆꯧꯕ ꯁꯦꯜꯁꯦ ꯀꯅꯥꯅꯦꯕ this is representing ꯑꯩ ꯑꯉꯥꯡꯕ ꯃꯆꯨꯅ use ꯇꯧꯈ꯭ꯔꯕꯅꯤꯅ I will be using the red color to use ꯇꯧꯔꯛꯀꯦ this is representing the vegetative cell ꯗꯨꯅꯦꯕ ꯇꯣꯃꯤꯡꯁꯨ ꯀꯩ ꯀꯧꯋꯦꯕ tube cellꯁꯨ ꯀꯧꯋꯦꯕ ꯑꯄꯤꯛꯄꯁꯤꯅ ꯀꯩ ꯑꯄꯤꯛꯄꯁꯤꯅ generative cell ꯀꯧꯋꯦꯕ ꯑꯩ ꯁ꯭ꯋꯥꯏꯗ point ꯑꯃꯅꯤ ꯍꯥꯞꯆꯤꯜꯂꯛꯑꯗꯕꯅꯤꯀꯣ generative cell ꯑꯗꯨꯗꯤ generative cellꯁꯦ is freely floating ꯀꯥꯏꯗ freely ꯇꯥꯎꯔ ꯂꯩꯔꯦꯕ in the cytoplasm of the vegetative cell ꯗꯨꯒꯤ cytoplasmꯗ generative cellꯁꯦ ꯇꯥꯎꯔꯒ ꯂꯩ ꯍꯥꯏꯗꯣ ꯌꯥꯔꯅꯤꯀꯣ they gets covered by ꯀꯅꯥꯗꯨꯝ cover ꯇꯧꯔꯤ they are covered by exine and intine cover ꯇꯧꯔꯤ so this outer thick covering is exine, which is made up of sporopollenin, while the inner covering is called the intine, which is made up of cellulose and pectin. Can you get it? So this is how cell amana saramba cells. As this is a single cell pollen grains, right? But because of the mitosis, now it becomes a two cell structure. Cell anina sab structure one thing. So I'm going to put here was actually cell kya na sab wala this is a two cell pollen. Two cell pollen grain. Cell anina saba pollen grain oire. Why they already know pollen grain si pollen grains is still pollen chamber manung da enter manung da yauri ba sigi matam si phawba. ꯌꯥꯔꯦꯀꯣ ꯃꯇꯥꯡꯁꯤꯗ ꯑꯩ ꯇ꯭ꯌꯨꯕ ꯁꯦꯜꯒ ꯖꯦꯅꯦꯔꯦꯇꯤভ ꯁꯦꯜꯒ ꯑꯅꯤꯒꯤ ꯀꯦꯔꯦꯛꯇꯔ ꯃꯆꯥ ꯑꯃꯃꯝꯇꯪ ꯍꯥꯞꯆꯤꯜꯂꯝꯒꯦꯀꯣ ꯌꯥꯝꯅ ꯁꯥꯡꯗꯣꯛꯇꯕꯤꯗ ꯑꯣꯀꯦ ꯚꯤꯖꯤꯇꯦꯇꯤভ ꯁꯦꯜꯁꯦ ꯚꯤꯖꯤꯇꯦꯇꯤভ ꯁꯦꯜ according to NCERTꯗ ꯏꯕꯒꯤ ꯃꯇꯨꯡ ꯏꯟꯅ they have dense cytoplasm ꯃꯣꯏꯁꯨ dense ꯅꯪ ꯂꯥꯎꯋꯦꯕ cytoplasmꯁꯦ they have dense cytoplasm and abundant reserve food material ꯌꯥꯎꯋꯦꯕ abundant reserve food material this is very important reserve food material ꯌꯥꯎꯒꯅꯤ ꯁꯤꯁꯤꯃ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏ ꯑꯍꯥꯟꯕ ꯄꯣꯏꯟꯗ ꯅꯣꯠ ꯇꯧꯗꯣꯏꯅꯤ ꯑꯗꯨꯒ ꯃꯥꯒꯤ ꯅ꯭ꯌꯨꯀ꯭ꯂꯤꯌꯁꯇ the shape of its nucleus is irregular ꯍꯥꯏꯗꯤ ꯃꯥꯒꯤ definite shape normally ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯅ ꯅ꯭ꯌꯨꯀ꯭ꯂꯤꯌꯁ ꯍꯥꯏꯗꯤ spherical ꯑꯣꯏꯗꯅ ꯃꯥꯒꯤꯗꯤ spherical ꯑꯣꯏꯅꯤ ꯍꯥꯏꯕ ꯂꯩꯇꯦ ꯑꯣꯏꯕ ꯌꯥꯏ ꯁꯥꯡꯕ ꯌꯥꯏ ꯈꯣꯏꯕ ꯌꯥꯏ ꯃꯇꯨꯝ ꯇꯥꯕ ꯌꯥꯏ ꯄꯩꯕ ꯌꯥꯏ ꯀꯣ so they have irregular shape nucleus की shape से irregular ओए हाइबसिमा ꯈꯪꯖꯤꯟꯃꯤꯟꯅꯔꯁꯤ ꯌꯥꯔꯦꯀꯣ again generative cell ꯁꯤꯅ ꯑꯃꯨꯛ ꯃꯉꯣꯟꯗꯁꯨ point ꯑꯅꯤꯈꯛ ꯏꯁꯦꯀꯣ generative cell ꯁꯦ ꯀꯩ shape ꯑꯣꯏ ꯌꯦꯡꯉꯨ generative cell is spindle shape ꯄꯤꯛꯑꯦ ꯃꯥꯗꯤꯀꯣ ꯑꯃꯁꯤꯅ ꯆꯥꯎꯗꯣꯏꯅꯤ generative cell is spindle shape ꯑꯣꯏꯕ ꯁꯤ ꯌꯥꯝ ꯍꯪꯕꯅꯤꯀꯣ generative cell is spindle shape structure ꯅꯤ and ꯃꯉꯣꯟꯗ ꯈꯪꯕ ꯌꯥꯕꯁꯦ ꯑꯇꯣꯞꯄ ꯀꯩ ꯍꯥꯞꯄ ꯌꯥꯔꯤ they are smaller okay one more they have dense cytoplasm ꯃꯣꯏꯁꯨ ꯅꯪ ꯂꯥꯎꯋꯦꯕ ꯃꯣꯏꯒꯤ cytoplasmꯁꯦ density ꯌꯥꯝ ꯋꯥꯡꯕꯗꯣ active ꯑꯣꯏꯕ cell ꯈꯨꯗꯤꯡꯃꯛ density ꯋꯥꯡꯅꯤꯀꯣ dense ꯑꯣꯏꯅꯤ ꯁꯤꯃ ꯈꯪ ꯇꯥꯔꯦ ꯌꯥꯔꯦꯀꯣ so this point to be noted ꯀꯥꯏꯗ ꯌꯥꯎꯔꯤ ꯁꯤ ꯃꯇꯝꯁꯤꯐꯧꯗ ꯁꯤꯒꯤ ꯃꯇꯝꯁꯤꯐꯧꯗ pollen chamber ꯃꯅꯨꯡꯗ ꯌꯥꯎꯔꯤ by this time so ꯁꯨꯃꯥꯏꯅ ꯇꯧꯅ single cell ꯑꯣꯏꯔꯝꯕ pollen grain ꯁꯤꯅ two cell stage attend ꯇꯧꯔꯦ what are the two cell please the larger vegetative cell and the smaller generative cells. After the single cell pollen grains become two cell stage yawri haira consider the enter dehisce, enter pokaire and release the pollen grains. Small yarn of pollen grains release the This is what we call as pollination. Aduna in majority of the angiosperm the pollination se pollen grains na two cell stage attend to matam da chathani. Sigi pollen grains matam sila kainong the enter pokaire ko. Single cell oiling either kainong the enter pokaire. Anther will never dehisce and will never release the pollen grains when the pollen is in single cell stage. Karam kala no anther na pukhay doy sa. Anther will burst or you can say dehisce when the pollen grains attend two cell stage. Ganito. Single cell or ba pollen grains na two cell stage se. Yung ba matamda anther se pukhay gani. Hedo ne. Yare ko. Aduna ay na-hire ko isa. So ay dadong so kitang push no gipo sir. Aduna, let me put a line here. Sir, line am tige. I will be using green color. Ubra yung si ko mayam in 60% of angiosperm. In 60% of angiosperm. Lay satpa panbi sa da humpugi manungda. Ay di majority da haini. In majority of the angiosperm da di pollination se karam kanda tawni ba. Pollination takes place. Pollination takes place when pollen attends. Pollen grain na kay stage attend to when pollen grains or microspore attends two cell states. Attends two cell states. Yare ko. 2000 ay exactly ka. 2018 dara 19 dara hang bane. Two cell states ka. Sometimes three cell states na to ba siya on the breaking the sometimes three cell states. Hi dine. Sir na 60% of the angiosperm the two cell states the pollination tawi hai tari sir. Remaining 40% do di kay states na tawa no hai na question am tholak tore. Yes, majority di two cell states. Hai di 60% di two cell states na tawi but remaining 40% of the angiosperm the three cell states to let's see what are the three cell states. Was it three cell states to? Kay no yung minor cell. Si cell states kaya na sawa pollen grains no? Two cell states sa sawa pollen grains na tra. Sige matamsidone. Sige matamsidone je po enter se po kay ne. Paithore pollen grains si kay de paithore no? Enter dagi. Enter po kay re. Ado yung ba pollen grains paire. Pairapase kay kawi pairapase ne ba koy na pollination hay se. Kay states sa paire ino do dia. Two cell states sa paire ino. Pollen grains se paire adi kay da tarni. Pollen grains will land onto the stigma. Stigma da tarni. Stigma da kamay taraping si ko. You remember the female reproductive part? Female reproductive part nimsangi ko. Okay, female reproductive part kamain tawi yingsi. Wait a second. Sir, class ta ingay da. Kuha nam laksali. Wait, kitang pagmutat kiyo ko. Okay, now look here. Paira kanda paira ta done ba? Paira. Okay, I mean paira. Okay, pahandige. Paira ko pollen grains finally landed onto the stigma na tayo. You remember the female reproductive part? Ningsangi ko carpel hay gyud. Flattened parts in the stigma kawi. This is the style and this is the ovary. They seated on a cushion-like structure called as thalamus, the pum given him. Yani ovary si manungda kawamayawi kawdi maming na ovule kawi. Hojik, pairaiba pollen grain se kaida tare ba? Pairaiba pollen grain se hojik kaida tare stigma da tare. This is what we call as pollination. Stage kya na piracy? Stage anida. Apic cells na kay apic cells na generative cell achowa cells na kay vegetative cell. So this is ay antang kitang so that you will understand everything. Iray na hangnam angamo to sinage una ba kay nakupsali exine nakupsali. Natra ngasay exine yaudaba jaga se kay kawe haigi exine yaudaba jaga se jampor kawe haigi. Hojikne level tokshan ge ko aduga I zoom out torok ni sige achowa cell se kai ko ba achowa cell si vegetative cell ko can I sum up like this VC yani ko pickle cell sina kai ko ba generative cell guru me yung jawa hai bagi to ni generative cell hai ne hojik stigma da tare tahalage ko kitang zoom out si let's see can I zoom this out a bit yad re stay na zooming okay yare hojik stigma sida tara aba matungdane vegetative cells se the pollen grains start absorbing nutrients from the stigmatic surface. Stigma dire yon ba moisture and nutrients absorb tore. Machinjak sa hari ehne. Machinjak sa hari masana growth sa tharoi dro. After absorbing sufficient nutrients, kadai dagi nutrients absorb to iba. stigma da yawan nutrients, moisture mayamse pollen grains na absorb tawre. After absorbing sufficient nutrients se absorb tawraba matungdane the vegetative cell se kaidawreeba the vegetative cell say so let me put it here si achawa cells natra the vegetative cells start growing grow tawreba in the form of tube ki form dane grow to through the tube piercing through the styles the kuchali Project vegetative cells comes out in the form of tube. Tube की form द थोले है को. Vegetative cells ना tube की form द थोले. हारी ब tube से की ममिंग कई को है को. We call it pollen tube. हाइने को. Pollen tube. अतो दी vegetative cell लगी नी ने pollen tube form तो रही से. That's why another name of vegetative cell is tube cell. हाइने कोई हाइने तो ना ने को सर. मैं तो वगी मरम दी vegetative cell लगी tube cell form तो वगी. सिबोक का understand तो रही हाइने लोग ये को सर. vegetative cell dagi kai form tawreba pollen tube form tawreba yani ko hariba pollen tube se kai de tholake si vegetative cell comes out in the form of pollen tube to the germ pore gi through de tholak to neba now you know the function of germ pore adi germ pore se kai do ba moiler me vegetative cell na pollen germination gi matamda pollen tube tholak tham mapham oiler me Holeko, hariba pollen tube set. The pollen tube now start piercing through the styles of kuchela change. Horen a female gi manu the egg yaw duni sida ko kona yeng si egg tu unaba la tu. Ai sida point ama katang palawa ya badane. Pollen tube sina changa ko matam dane. Mai sida yawam ba kai se. Sida yawam mi ba tube nucleus hai. Vegetative cell gi nucleus to. Ngasai tube tu gi matolom da kumthar eva se. The nucleus is descending towards the tube. अरे ऐसी कना के न्यूक्लियस ना vegetative cell की न्यूक्लियस नहीं नत्रगना tube cell की न्यूक्लियस नत्रा tube cell की न्यूक्लियस नहीं हाइदना सिगी न्यूक्लियस की ममिंग कई कोइबा we call it tube nucleus कोइ अदुना कावरेदबसे मतलब थिदिकता tube nucleus ना ममांग थारा लाखनी matang swaida kanano jamya tawhiba vegetative cell matang swaida generative cells sigi cells maninga lehoriba generative cells mitosis amaga sathari adi cell amna mitosis thirty cell kya form torani aduna vegetative cells na mitosis ta thara panamaram orakanda the vegetative cell now give rise to two daughter cell mongonde daughter cell ani form tore one here and another one here when they form toriba cell ani si maming we call it male gametes hani ko adudi pollen grains te manung the male gamete ani yaurabra aduna pollen grains ti manung the male gamete ani yauraba matamda we'll call the pollen grains as male gametophyte adi punna cell kya sare so what you polymer cells vegetative cell di manung the male gamete ani yam gai chale ha to are ko aduna aduna sarna harak to asengbadi cell humse male gamete ani ma vegetative cell ama punna cell humse pollination tawra matungda form tawgadabne adubu remaining 40% of the angiosperm dari hana male gamete ani se siso form tawtho matungda pollination tawrse haidi three cell stage polla matung doina pollination tawrasu yai sin hai development do hai kem kwa sida dum continue tawse you will understand don't worry no si cell kya na sabano cell kya na sai no si cell ani na sai na tra ai muthat ke ko serum tang to swai jaga se muthat rage so that you will understand everything loi khangani kem phagat kanu ko you will understand everything okay now I will let you know si hojik cell kya na saba cell no si cell kya na saba cell na se kaino sum ko ya just a second okay si hojik cell ani na saba pollen grains ne na tra cell ani na saba pollen grains so ai at yam sai jam dum to keep I have no idea putting away all these things wait yo hojik cell ani na saramba pollen grains se this is a two cell pollen grains ai level to ge ko this is two cell I'm going to level here this is two cell pollen grains ꯍꯧꯖꯤꯛ ꯁꯦꯜ ꯑꯅꯤꯅ ꯁꯥꯕ ꯄꯣꯂꯟ ꯒ꯭ꯔꯦꯟꯁꯦ ꯁꯤ ꯃꯇꯝꯗ ꯀꯩ ꯆꯠꯊꯔꯅꯤꯕ pollination ꯆꯠꯊꯔꯅꯤꯕ in majority of the angiosperm ꯍꯥꯏꯗꯤ 60% of the angiosperm ꯀꯥꯏꯗ ꯇꯥꯔꯅꯤ ꯃꯥꯗ ꯇꯥꯔꯅꯤꯕ ꯇꯥꯔꯕ ꯃꯇꯨꯡꯗ ꯀꯔꯝꯕ ꯁꯦꯜꯁꯦ ꯖꯔꯃꯤꯅꯦꯠ ꯇꯧꯔꯅꯤ ꯑꯆꯧꯕ ꯁꯦꯜ ꯍꯥꯏꯗꯤ ꯚꯦꯖꯤꯇꯦꯇꯤቭ ꯁꯦꯜꯗꯣ ꯇ꯭ꯌꯨꯕꯀꯤ ꯐꯣꯝꯗ ꯖꯔꯃꯤꯅꯦꯠ ꯇꯧꯔꯛꯑꯦꯕ ꯀꯗꯥꯏꯗꯒꯤ ꯊꯣꯛꯂꯛꯏꯅꯣ ꯇ꯭ꯌꯨꯕꯇꯣ ꯖꯥꯝ ꯄꯣꯔꯗꯒꯤ ꯐꯥꯎꯗꯠꯂ ꯊꯣꯛꯂꯛꯑꯦꯕ to the jam pore to exine ꯌꯥꯎꯗꯕ ꯃꯄꯥꯗꯨꯗꯒꯤ ꯌꯥꯔꯦꯀꯣ ꯁꯤꯒꯤ ꯇ꯭ꯌꯨꯕꯁꯦ ꯀꯩ ꯀꯣꯏꯕ pollen tube ꯀꯣꯏꯕ pollen tube ꯁꯦ ꯀꯅꯥꯗꯩ ꯐꯣꯔꯝ ꯇꯧꯔꯤꯅꯣ pollen tube ꯁꯤ vegetative cell ꯂꯩꯔꯦ ꯑꯗꯩ ꯁꯤ pollen tube is representing ꯀꯅꯥꯅꯣ ꯑꯗꯨꯝ vegetative cell ꯌꯥꯔꯦꯀꯣ ꯌꯥꯔꯦꯀꯣ ꯑꯣꯀꯦ vegetative cell ꯗꯨꯒꯤ ꯅ꯭ꯌꯨꯀ꯭ꯂꯤꯌꯁꯇꯨꯅ ꯃꯃꯥꯡꯗ ꯃꯇꯣꯟ ꯊꯪꯅ ꯂꯥꯛꯑꯦ ꯃꯇꯥꯡ ꯁ꯭ꯋꯥꯏꯗ ꯃꯅꯤꯡꯗ ꯀꯅꯥ ꯇꯥꯎꯔ ꯂꯩꯍꯧꯔꯦ ꯁ꯭ꯄꯤꯟꯗꯜ ꯁꯦꯞ ꯁꯦꯜ ꯖꯦꯅꯦꯔꯦꯇꯤቭ ꯁꯦꯜ ꯑꯃ ꯂꯩꯍꯧꯗ꯭ꯔꯥ ꯑꯁꯤ ꯖꯦꯅꯦꯔꯦꯇꯤቭ ꯁꯦꯜꯁꯦ ꯀꯩ ꯆꯠꯊꯔꯛꯑꯅꯤꯕ ꯖꯦꯅꯦꯔꯦꯇꯤቭ ꯁꯦꯜꯁꯦ ꯃꯤꯇꯣꯁꯤꯁ ꯑꯃ ꯆꯠꯊꯔꯛꯑꯦꯕ ꯖꯦꯅꯦꯔꯦꯇꯤቭ ꯁꯦꯜꯁꯤꯅ ꯃꯤꯇꯣꯁꯤꯁ ꯆꯠꯊꯕꯗꯨꯅ ꯃꯔꯝ ꯑꯣꯏꯔꯀꯥꯟꯗ ꯃꯦꯜ ꯁꯦꯜ ꯑꯅꯤ ꯑꯃꯒ ꯐꯣꯔꯝ ꯇꯧꯔꯛꯑꯦꯕ ꯁꯤꯗ ꯐꯣꯔꯝ ꯇꯧꯔꯛꯏꯕ ꯁꯦꯜ ꯑꯅꯤꯁꯤꯅ ꯀꯩ ꯀꯧꯋꯦꯕ ꯃꯦꯜ ꯒꯦꯃꯦꯠꯁ ꯀꯧꯋꯦ ꯑꯗꯨꯗꯤ ꯃꯦꯜ ꯒꯦꯃꯦꯠ ꯀꯌꯥꯅꯣ ꯐꯣꯔꯝ ꯇꯧꯗꯣꯏꯁꯤ ꯇꯨ ꯃꯦꯜ ꯒꯦꯃꯦꯠꯁ ꯀꯩꯗꯧꯔꯒ ꯀꯅꯥꯅ ꯃꯤꯇꯣꯁꯤꯁ ꯆꯠꯊꯔꯒ ꯖꯦꯅꯦꯔꯦꯇꯤꯚ ꯁꯦꯜꯗꯨꯁꯤꯗ ꯃꯤꯇꯣꯁꯤꯁ ꯑꯃ ꯇꯧꯔꯦ ꯌꯥꯔꯅꯤꯀꯣ ꯑꯍꯥꯟꯕꯗ ꯌꯦꯡꯉꯨꯀꯣ ꯁꯤꯗ ꯑꯝꯇꯪ ꯁꯤꯗꯩꯁꯤꯗꯁꯨ ꯃꯤꯇꯣꯁꯤꯁ ꯑꯃ ꯇꯧꯈ꯭ꯔꯕ ꯁꯤꯡꯒꯜ ꯁꯦꯜ ꯑꯣꯏꯔꯝꯕ ꯄꯣꯂꯟ ꯒ꯭ꯔꯦꯟꯁꯤꯅ ꯃꯤꯇꯣꯁꯤꯁ ꯑꯃ ꯇꯧꯔꯀꯥꯟꯗ ꯇꯨ ꯁꯦꯜ ꯑꯣꯜꯂꯦ ꯇꯨ ꯁꯦꯜꯗꯨꯅ ꯑꯃꯨꯛ ꯃꯤꯇꯣꯁꯤꯁ ꯑꯃꯒ ꯑꯃꯨꯛ ꯇꯧꯔꯦ ꯑꯗꯨꯝ ꯀꯥꯟꯗ ꯃꯦꯜ ꯒꯦꯃꯦꯠ ꯑꯅꯤ ꯑꯃꯃꯨꯛ ꯐꯣꯔꯝ ꯇꯧꯁꯜꯂꯛꯑꯦ ꯌꯥꯔꯅꯤꯀꯣ ꯃꯦꯜ ꯒꯦꯃꯦꯠ ꯑꯅꯤ ꯌꯥꯎꯔꯦ ꯍꯥꯏꯗꯅ ꯍꯧꯖꯤꯛ ꯍꯥꯏꯔꯤꯕ ꯑꯦꯟꯇꯥꯌꯔ ꯁꯇ꯭ꯔꯛꯆꯔꯁꯦ ꯃꯦꯜ ꯒꯦꯃꯦꯠ ꯌꯥꯎꯕ ꯁꯇ꯭ꯔꯛꯆꯔꯁꯤꯗꯤ ꯁꯔꯅ ꯉꯁꯥꯏ ꯀꯩ ꯀꯧꯋꯦ ꯍꯥꯏꯒꯦ ꯃꯦꯜ ꯒꯦꯃꯦꯇꯣꯐꯥꯏꯠ ꯀꯧꯋꯦ ꯍꯥꯏꯒꯦ so this structure is what we call as male gametophyte ꯌꯥꯔꯦꯀꯣ ꯑꯗꯨ ꯑꯣꯏꯇꯥꯔꯗꯤ ꯄꯩꯈꯥꯗ ꯍꯪꯉꯛꯇꯣꯏꯁꯦ ꯃꯥꯏꯀ꯭ꯔꯣꯁꯄꯣꯔ ꯃꯥꯗꯔ ꯁꯦꯜ ꯑꯃꯅ ꯃꯦꯜ ꯒꯦꯃꯦꯇꯣꯐꯥꯏꯠ ꯐꯣꯔꯝ ꯇꯧꯒꯦ ꯍꯥꯏꯔꯗꯤ ꯃꯨꯟꯅ ꯇꯧꯀꯣ ꯃꯥꯏꯀ꯭ꯔꯣꯁꯄꯣꯔ ꯃꯥꯗꯔ ꯁꯦꯜ ꯑꯃꯅ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯅꯤꯀꯣ ꯃꯥꯏꯀ꯭ꯔꯣꯁꯄꯣꯔ ꯃꯥꯗꯔ ꯁꯦꯜ ꯑꯃꯅ ꯃꯦꯜ ꯒꯦꯃꯦꯇꯣꯐꯥꯏꯠ ꯑꯃ ꯐꯣꯔꯝ ꯇꯧꯒꯦ ꯍꯥꯏ ꯇꯥꯔꯗꯤ ꯃꯤꯌꯣꯁꯤꯁ ꯀꯌꯥ ꯗꯔꯀꯥꯔ ꯑꯣꯏ ꯑꯃꯁꯨꯡ ꯃꯤꯇꯣꯁꯤꯁ ꯀꯌꯥ ꯗꯔꯀꯥꯔ ꯑꯣꯏꯒꯦ ꯃꯥꯏꯀ꯭ꯔꯣꯁꯄꯣꯔ ꯃꯥꯗꯔ ꯁꯦꯜ ꯑꯍꯥꯟꯕꯗ ꯃꯤꯌꯣꯁꯤꯁ ꯑꯃ ꯍꯥꯟꯅ ꯆꯠꯊꯕ ꯑꯃ ꯆꯪꯉꯤ ꯑꯗꯨꯒ ꯃꯥꯏꯀ꯭ꯔꯣꯁꯄꯣꯔ ꯃꯔꯤ ꯍꯥꯟꯅ ꯐꯣꯔꯝ ꯇꯧꯔꯅꯤ ꯃꯥꯏꯀ꯭ꯔꯣꯁꯄꯣꯔꯗ ꯑꯃꯨꯛ ꯃꯤꯇꯣꯁꯤꯁ ꯑꯅꯤꯔꯛ ꯇꯧꯏꯀꯣ ꯐꯥꯔꯁ ꯃꯤꯇꯣꯁꯤꯁ ꯖꯦꯅꯦꯔꯦꯇꯤቭ ꯁꯦꯜ ꯚꯦꯖꯤꯇꯦꯇꯤቭ ꯁꯦꯜ ꯍꯧꯖꯤꯛ ꯁꯦꯀꯟड ꯃꯤꯇꯣꯁꯤꯁ ꯇꯧꯔꯒꯅꯤ ꯑꯗꯨ ꯑꯣꯏꯇꯥꯔꯗꯤ ꯋꯥꯟ ꯃꯤꯌꯣꯁꯤꯁ ꯑꯦꯟ ꯇꯨ ꯃꯤꯇꯣꯁꯤꯁ ꯗꯔꯀꯥꯔ ꯑꯣꯏ ꯍꯥꯏꯗꯨꯅꯤ ꯃꯦꯜ ꯒꯦꯃꯦꯇꯣꯐꯥꯏꯠ ꯃꯦꯆ꯭ꯌꯣꯔ ꯃꯦꯜ ꯒꯦꯃꯦꯇꯣꯐꯥꯏꯠ ꯑꯃ ꯐꯣꯔꯝ ꯇꯧꯅꯕꯒꯤꯗꯃꯛꯇ microspore mother cell requires one meiosis and two mitosis. Mitosis ani amasung meiosis amurak darkar oy haido. Yareko. Adi hojik male gametophyte se cell kya na sa. Cell kya na sa yamu se cell hum na sa yam. So total cell na kai nemanti collation na vegetative cell ani manungda vegetative cell lugi manungda male gametophyte cell ani nga tawre yawsale. Ana mature male gametophyte is a three cell structure ne. ꯑꯗꯨꯅ angiospermꯗ pollination ꯀꯔꯝ ꯀꯥꯟꯗ ꯇꯧꯏ ꯍꯥꯏꯇꯥꯔꯗꯤ ꯇꯨ ꯁꯦꯜ ꯁ꯭ꯇꯦꯖꯇ ꯇꯧꯋꯦ ꯑꯗꯨꯕꯨ 40% of the angiospermꯗꯗꯤ ꯊ꯭ꯔꯤ ꯁꯦꯜ ꯑꯣꯜꯂ ꯃꯇꯨꯡꯗ ꯁꯤꯒꯤ ꯁꯦꯜꯁꯦ ꯑꯣꯜꯂ ꯃꯇꯨꯡꯗ ꯀꯣꯟꯅ pollinate ꯇꯧꯔꯛꯄꯁꯨ ꯌꯥꯏ so you better explain like this pollination takes place at two cell stage in angiosperm sometimes three cell stages ꯁꯨ ꯇꯧꯕ ꯌꯥꯏ ꯍꯥꯏꯕꯗꯨꯃ ꯈꯪꯃꯤꯟꯅꯔꯁꯤ ꯁꯤꯕꯨ ꯌꯥꯔꯗ꯭ꯔꯥ ꯃꯌꯥꯝ I hope you understood up to this ꯑꯩ ꯁꯤꯕꯨ ꯈꯪꯉꯦ ꯍꯥꯏꯅ ꯂꯧꯔꯒꯦꯀꯣ so this is all about the development of male gametophyte ꯀꯤ development ꯀꯤ ꯋꯥꯔꯤꯗꯨꯅꯦꯕ ꯁꯤꯅꯤ ꯌꯥꯔꯦꯀꯣ now ꯑꯁꯤ ꯈꯪꯉ ꯃꯇꯨꯡꯗ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏ ꯍꯧꯖꯤꯛ let me talk a few things a very few things about pollen grains is what is tause few points on pollen grains pollen grains ki wari atenba khara tausi ꯌꯥꯔꯦꯀꯣ okay pollen grain ꯑꯩꯅ ꯁꯔꯅ ꯇꯥꯛꯏꯁꯦ every word and every line of the NCERT explain ꯇꯧꯔꯝꯃꯤ if you go through my just watch my lecture listen very carefully after that just go through the NCERT line by line word by word after that do some question practice it will be more than enough to correct me 이런 line 하고 야니 그러니까 just believe in me just believe in me just believe in yourself give your precious time reading the books, your NCRT, definitely you will get your jobs. Irailangan. There's go. So few points on pollen grains. Pollen grains ki afaba phattaba khara naina se. Ai afaba hana haijingaida phattaba hana hairake ko. Pollen grains se when inhale sor honjanbada yawgraba they may cause severe bronchial affliction. Hadi lungs ka mari lehnaba problem mayam na be like asthma, bronchitis, siguma mayam. Ana ay harake ko. Pollen grains pollen grains when inhale. For konjan ba yaw when inhale may cause kay tuan be severe bronchial adi related to lungs haven lungs ka mari lungs problem hai say bronchial afflictions means problem bronchial afflictions like kari lakpa yai ba asthma lakpa yai bronchitis lakpa yai bronchitis etc sigumba pollen grains na tuan ba lung ki problem sibu we call it pollen allergy hena ko Yareko, I NCRT the panbadi thinade, pollen allergy is also called hay fever. Also called kaikoeva hay fever. Heneka, sina pollen grains ki taba part ama ay tare disadvantage. Yareko, why the pollen allergy to anba panbi amathuplay, and that the name of that plant is Parthenium. Haise. Hanasutara madrakhande Parthenium hai. Parthenium se common name ta carrot grass su hainabane carrot ki mapan ga chap manabane carrot grass congress grass ho haine madu hojikan di congress grass de higher no sa ko carrot grass ko highly allergic its pollen grains are very allergic kare ko now one point to be noted here so that I point ano khatang pi ge ko Parthenium se Indiada indigenous plant na tib han haujaramba panbi na tib mapandagi tangakhiba panbi ne alien species haitare na hayeng na chapter number 15 biodiversity and its conservation the alien species invasion na mayawani adumain to na han leijaramba species na tib it comes from outside from foreign countries tagi lakimo kay dawada la iba british ki matam dane train introduce tꯧꯔꯛꯄꯗꯒꯤ trainꯗ wheat import tꯧꯔꯛꯄꯗ ꯌꯥꯎꯔꯛꯈꯤꯕꯅꯦꯕ ꯁꯤ ꯊꯤ ꯍꯪꯕꯅꯤꯀꯣ Partheniumꯁꯤ ꯀꯔꯝꯕ crop plants import tꯧꯔꯛꯄꯗ ꯌꯥꯎꯔꯛꯈꯤꯒꯦꯅ Partheniumꯁꯦ it came to Indiaꯗ ꯂꯥꯛꯈꯤꯕ as contaminants ꯑꯣꯏꯅ ꯑꯃꯣꯠꯄ ꯑꯣꯏꯅ ꯆꯪꯉꯛꯈꯤꯕꯅꯦꯕ for ꯑꯣꯏꯅ as contaminants during importation of kay pusilakpada during importation of wheat pusilakpada yaurakibani sigi wheat se hangbani ko muna taminarsi kay pusilakpada yaurakige habase asina pollen grains ki magi disadvantage ano kanabadi leitrabra yam thi kanai pollen grains ki kanaba khuyam amani kanaba khara yengsiko another point amadane pollen grains consumption of pollen grains uh, uh, Consumption of pollen grains is believed to enhance the strength and stamina hengathali. Hanggan hengathali, stamina hengathali haina thajane, especially to the athletes kangbugi and race horses. Race the shin of a horsing. Yani ko. So I hige pollen consumption increases hige hybra or enhances kay hengaleba strength and stamina kanagi of athletes, Sanaroi Singi, and the race horses. Race the shin of horsing se. Mana sabon se race horses sing se horse riding ga na competition. Ana horse riding ga use to the horse ana pollen grains yun eh. Mupang ka na energetic way na ba hay. Yare ko, sima kangani kasi ano, mapalam in other countries in the pollen grains yan. Pharma, medical stores in the ULM, either in the form of pollen tablet ki form da or syrup, mahi ki form. Ano ko, ano, sometimes pollen grains available as kayo ni available oy ba? Pollen tablet ki form da available oy or syrup, mahi ki form da available oy. Sima su, ako ipunjalase. Yani ko sima, now, amakhaktanga hayawgiga ay pollen grains ki matang se lapa kanda. Okay, sperm gumba, egg gumba se. Sperm gumba, egg gumba se. Okay, in chapter number 4 of this class 12 ki, chapter number 4, the reproductive health haina parama yawi adu okay, IVF. Kasi IVF ko na batare ko in vitro fertilization se. IVF to with a donor am the sperm lawdoni, egg lawdoni, aduga fuse to hundone. Aduna, ay na to egg gumba, sperm gumba se. It can be stored, frozen to, or stored to, yeah, Chahi chama lishing ama store to yae. Adumain to na pollen grains sing se. Pollen grains can also be stored. Pollen grains is stored or thamba yae. Pollen grains se. Kaidoba yae stored. Kaya store to doba. Stored at minus 196 degrees Celsius the store to yae. In liquid nitrogen the thing aga. In liquid nitrogen. Yareko, for about 100 to 1000 years ka thamba yae. This method of conservation se, preservation se, we call it kay ba? This method of preservation is called cryopreservation. Haini ko cryopreservation. So aduna frozen toraga store tora thamba yae haibasin. So these are few things to be noted about pollen grains. Ana pollen grains ki maramda asigi jaga asimu khangba ma change. Yareko. Sir Lorakadore, pollen grains ki aroiba topic amatanga pal taugige. The last part is pollen viability. Yaise. Pollen viability. Pollen viability di kayo po. Pollen viability din enter the enter the pokhaireba. Pollen grains se paithokraba. How long that pollen survive in the air before it landed onto the stigma? Kiyam kuina hingbang amge. Ngasi paithokiba pollen grains so numit tarani matungda tata ardi germinate tawgadra asini. अभी क्वेश्चन हम लाख तोरे फॉर एग्जांपल आइने एग्जांपल हारेगा पोलन अमगी वायबिलिटी से 30 मिनट्स ने हाइना लोअर से उदय तारदी एंथर कायरगा पाइथोक्रा गांदा पोलन ग्रेस विदिन 30 मिनट्स की मनुंदा लेन स्टिक माना का होगदम ने हाइना 30 मिनट्स एन की तारदी पोलन ग्रेन्स विल डाई सीरनी हेदो so viability the how long the pollen retains the power of germination pollen na horin stigma da tar matung da kayam kuina germinate to ngam bagi potential se kayam kuina retain to ngam ge se that is known as pollen viability yehne ko pollen viability de kaiba it is the time period ne matam ne kai matam for which pollen retains the power of pollen retains the power of kai germination pollen retains the power of germination after landed onto this after power of germination on the stigma ꯀꯥꯏꯗꯒꯤ ꯊꯥꯗꯣꯛꯈ꯭ꯔ ꯃꯇꯨꯡꯗ ꯑꯦꯟꯊꯔꯗꯒꯤ ꯄꯥꯏꯊꯣꯛꯈ꯭ꯔ ꯃꯇꯨꯡꯗ after being released ꯑꯦꯟꯊꯔ ꯃꯅꯨꯡꯗ ꯌꯥꯎꯔꯤꯉꯩꯗꯗꯤ ꯀꯨꯏꯅ ꯄꯨꯟꯁꯤ ꯉꯝꯅꯤꯀꯣ ꯀꯩꯒꯤ ꯑꯦꯟꯊꯔꯒꯤ ꯇꯥꯄꯦꯇꯝꯅ ꯃꯆꯤꯟꯖꯥꯛ ꯄꯤꯔꯤꯕꯅꯤꯅ once ꯄꯥꯏꯊꯣꯛꯈꯤ ꯇꯥꯔꯗꯤ ꯀꯌꯥꯝ ꯀꯨꯏꯅ ꯃꯥꯁꯦ ꯍꯤꯡꯈꯤꯗꯒꯦ ꯍꯥꯏꯕ question ꯑꯃ ꯂꯥꯛꯑꯦꯕ ꯑꯗꯨꯅꯦ viability ꯍꯥꯏꯁꯦ after being released from ꯀꯥꯏꯗꯒꯤ anther so this is known as pollen viability ꯍꯥꯏꯅ ꯀꯧꯋꯦ यारेको तवदु pollen viability से पानबी अमगा मानदे यानीको इस हारंगे it differs from plant to plant species to species from plants to plant अमगा viability मानरोय यारेको last one for example मानदे से खंगनबा for example in cereals adi chaba yaba grass singse poaceae family that belong to chaba rice wheat maize siguma singse in cereals like kana rice and wheat rice ka wheat ka ditani ne viability se viability is lost within 30 minutes तो 30 minutes की मनुंग द pollination का होद्रवा मदai tardi 30 minute hengi tardi pollination to ngam doi hene ade aina imanabagi ukhul la leba imanaba amgi magi ho thaba ai sir aina sir na magi pollen grains loraga ai gi imphala thaba lubuk ta thaba pollen grain thodu da pollination to gena monde pollen grains loba chale pollen grains lore kokta da hanjala pore pung ani sangthokhreba imphal yokoda adoi tardi pollination to gira to roi because the viability of rice is just 30 minutes kaptani adum khambiro Canada in families like karam families rosaceae di rose की family से leguminosae है ना हवाई track की family से and solanaceae है ना खामेन की family से viability would last for months. Would last for months. ꯊꯥ ꯃꯌꯥꯝ ꯑꯃ ꯍꯤꯡꯉ ꯂꯩꯕ ꯌꯥꯏ ngasi pollen grains mena ha ahum mari matung the pollination to da dum success way. That is, the pollen can retain the viability for many months. Ha mayam ama retain to bang mi isne to swai gi jaga simasu yam hanganba topic singi manung da amane. Mayam sibo yaradra yare ko ai yam samtakna NCERT mati em parasi aduga question utanga nei na siyo. Where? Okay, file import or wait a second. Lai hana yengis. Wait a second. Sir, simuthalagay ko duri. Let's see. NCRT dana kari ibigay ang taniyang minisi sir the plus 12. Yes, this is 12 part. Biology. Here. Sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Yes. Sir, kitang di mamani si background na white worm, you know ko. Dedum hora sila. Okay, I will add this paste first. So the paces are hana. Okay. Atrasing okay. Let's see the structure here together. Yang minasi sir ko. Okay. Kitang mambra. Rico. Okay. Sir, kita ngalan biro okay. Wait a second. Bagong pudong mala isila ng tamagi. Puling road. Yang yelag tanong. Yang si. I will be using the highlighter here. Sir, kaya yung minasi ko. See, anther duni. This is the anther part, and this is the filament. Sige, proximal end na thalamus dana trapetal dana payagim ni. Dugo sige distal end na anther dana payagim. Sige siko. Figure 1.2a shows the two parts of the stamen. Stamen ki part into E, the long and the slender stalk called filament, and the terminal, generally bilobe structure called the anther. Yeah, because the proximal end of the filament is attached to the thalamus or to the petal of the flower. The number and length of the stamen are variable in flower of different species. So, filament ki length se pandium ga and even within the same plant amgi manung da bok da sangba mana da ba. For example, haying maning da tala kini ba ko brassicaceae da hangam da ne hangam gi family da punna ne stamen se taruk yawe stamen taruk sida ne ai sida yeke yong sir sorry yong sir amtang yeke yong sona kan yong ko can you see here stamen se ama ani ahum mari hangam stamen puna taruk yoy taruk se mapan thang stamen ani sinam tilin who are very short and inner four are long manungi mari sinam sang heng maninga tamakini ko asigi condition se petradynamous condition ko ana filament ki length se always managani hability so the length of the stock filament vary from plant to plant and also vary from within the same species. Ito nito. The number and length of stamens are variable in flowers of different species. If you were to collect a stamen is from 10 flowers, is from different species, arrange them on a slide. Okay, these are nothing. See. Here, a typical angiospermic anther is bilobe. So, enters a lobe ani yawi with is lobe along the theka ani ni yawi. Hay gimne. Anther se kay ko ba? Dithecous anther ko. Often a longitudinal group runs through. These are not important. Ay maru ajuna hierarchy ko. The bilobe nature of an anther is very distinct in the transverse section of the anther. Anther ki transverse section ka pumatamda lobe ani longis inga nga na urani. The anther is four-sided. Four-sided the corner hum lay. So one here, another one here, another one here. Smaina. Corner mari lay ni. Structure consisting of four microsporangia. Corner mari do da pollen yawa how ani ni yawe. Hadi pollen chamber ani ni. Microsporangia mari yawe. Located at the corner. Two in each lobe. Yare ko. Yang si sir si kita nga software. Okay, look here. In transverse section of anther, sitting around iduniko, ay hujik pathaban nungainabana parabani. A typical microsporangium appears near circular in outline. Transverse section kapwa na circular when uyeba. It is generally surrounded by four wall layers. Wall layer marina koshali, kana, the epidermis, the second layer is endothelium, the third one middle layer the S hapisyong, multiple layer way, and the tapetum ni. The outer three wall layers, hay the epidermis ne, endothelium ne, middle layer ne, moy hom na tawdoy siya, perform the function of protection and helps in dehiscence. Ngarang sir na dehiscence the main role low siya kana ne hay main role low siya budi endothelium ne, but hom mag siya protection and dehiscence involved there. The innermost wall layer is tapetum. Tapetum mathaw kayo yung siko. Marang mari pihimni, it nourishes the developing pollen grains. Developing pollen grains na machinjak piba ma, sporopollenin sungbama, pollen kit sungbama, keles enzyme sungbama haigimi. Cells of the tapetum possess dense cytoplasm. Si ko, tapetum cell gi cytoplasm siyam dense hoy, like kanatakwa, vegetative generative cell tako dumaina, and generally have more than one nucleus. Nucleus ama de hele, binucleate organ bane moise. Tapetum cell se binucleate oirise kaigino hai tardi nahansu pangibani periokinesis toraga cytokinesis na follow tortabagini hen haido. When the anther is young, anther se young oiringai matamdadi pollen chamber se sporogenous cells no fill tower lerame pollen grains yaudri ba matamdadi. Ko later on microsporogenesis amu yengasi sarga as the anther develops the tail of the sporogenous cells kai when directly behave torania microspore mother cell when directly behave torani aduga meiosis tharani to form microspore tetrad. We call this phenomenon as microsporogenesis ko wi haiger. Yare ko sime ai. So we can remove this out. Matanggi amu yengsi ko. I will check change slide. Okay. Next. Sila dum para bu iarab san. So sumain to na pare yung ay every line the underline alo ay mapalabra na di kami ko. Haleva ana ay question amtang yeng minaram gi se sir ga. Ay question amtang yeng minaram gi se ko. Push up ya bring a file. Let me see. I can import the file. Yes. Later yeng asi. At toge. Okay. Let's still put it up. Yung sir ga yung minasyon eh. Now, let's see. What word will correctly fill A, B, and C in the following paragraph? Say, A, yung gumapili sa develops into pollen grains. Kanana no pollen grains ulat to siya microspore na. O tari A se kay tarni, kay microspore se kay pollen grains se kay siya kaway haigi microspore. The A se microspore tarami. Yani ko. And then the outer layer is B. Outer layer se B kaway, inner layer in time kaway. The B do kayo raman yan. B will definitely be exine. The inner layer is made up of cellulose and cellulose ka kay gana sagi in inner layer in time do pectin gana sagi na. So this will be pectin. In 60% of the angiosperm, pollen grains are set at 60% ring cell kaya set away two cells test. Adoy tardi A sina microspore, B sina exine, C sina pectin, adugo D sina two cell. Yaw ring si A sina microspore, B na exine, C is pectin, 2 cells. Answer will be option number 4 tar. Yare ko. Batang mo yung sine, which of the following plants came in India as a contaminant with imported wheat and causes pollen allergy? With kaloina na changa kiba contaminant so kananoy hoikta ta kido Artenium. Kaisu kawi parrot grass so kawi haigi. Parrot grass. Matanda, select the correct combination of true and false for the given statement about pollen grain selling. Sumring siko. Ahanbada, the vegetative cell has abundant food reserve. Sumiko sima. Han bagi sima sume e sima. Matang yang si, the vegetative cell has largely irregular sap nucleus. Sume simsu. Nasai, vegetative cell ge nucleus to irregular way hai gende. Di sima su sume. The generative cell is small. To me, generative cell, the vegetative cell yang nawda is fixed in the cytoplasm of the vegetative cell. Lale fixed hydroid damni float hai damni tower lege damni fixed tower lege. Onto the shishin lale. Generative cell is spindle shaped and has dense cytoplasm. So me simsu. Spindle shape oi hai gimni dense cytoplasm lay hai gimni. Adu di A ne B ne D ne chum. A true B true A through B. Okay, sile. Option number 2 is the right correct. A chume, B chume, C lale, D chume. Yareko. Matang mo sile. How many pollen grains are formed from 10 microspore mother cell by meiosis? Say. Yung sila, 1 microspore mother cell naman na meiosis tawrakanda macha kya kya form to hai? Microspore mari form tawdra. Mari form to ko. Microspore mother cell amana microspore mari form to tare tara nadi kya form to ne? Tara nadi 10 into 4. 40 form to ne. Siya lai mali da sili ko. Next one, choose incorrect statement na muyeng say. In Western countries, a large number of pollen products are available in the form of pollen tablet and syrups in the market. So, may siya masa hay gibdo. Foreign countries singdadi, Western countries singdadi pollen grains se tablet ki form da or syrup ki form da available hai. Wanam chumi ko. Incorrect handu ay ne wanatre. Some cereals such as rice and wheat tadi, pollen grains lose viability within 1 year. Lale, within kaya no? Within 30 minutes hay lang. The answer se makapata da so 2 siya waram. Yarage ko? Okay. Tima. So main to na ako'y question 6 say pot pahirani ko. Okay? I'll be doing up to this. Ay nga sisibok ng toroge. Thank you everyone. Let's see the next in the next class again. See you again. Thank you.